Hi, welcome to my video on compound interest problems. Let's do some calculations with compound interest, and I'll have many problems to do for you. Let's start. Compound interest is calculated using the same formula as simple interest. Interest is principal times rate times time. But the interest is calculated for 1 year, then added to the principal. Then the interest is calculated again and added to the principal, added on to the principal plus interest. Note, compounding is earning interest on interest. That means that if you made $100 interest at the beginning of the first year, then when you do your percent, you get interest on that 100. So you get what you call interest on interest. Let's work out a couple to show you what's going on. Find the interest on $1,000 at 5% annual, compounded annually for 2 years. So what happens? You have the interest is principal times rate times time. The principal is $1,000. The interest is 5%, but we're going to work it out for 1 year. So that's $1,000 times decimal 0.5 times 1. And that will give you $50 if you multiply it with a calculator. So what happens now? You take the $1,000 that you had at the beginning, which is you put in your bank account, and you add on the $50, the interest that you got. So now, beginning the second year, you'll have $1,050. So then you calculate your interest on that second year, as principal times rate times time, but you use the $1,050, and you still use your 5%, and you work it out for 1 year. So that's $1,050 times decimal 0.5 times 1. And in this case, probably it's best to use a calculator. It helps in the manipulation. Let's turn it on. So we get $1,050 times decimal 0.5 times 1. We don't have to do that because we know what times 1 is. We get $52.50. Let me move the calculator away. So what happens is that we had the total interest paid is the $50 that's in at the end of the first year, and we got $52 that we have at the end of the second year. So if you add 50 into $52.50, you would get $102.50. That's the interest you earned in the 2 years compounding it. To show you that, let's work out finding the interest on the same amount of money, 1,000, at the same percent for 2 years. Notice when you read this, the interest on 1,000 at 5%, the annual interest for 2 years. Notice it didn't say compounded. So that's what you call simple interest. So interest equals principal, rate, and time. Principal is $1,000 at 5%. And it's for 2 years because this is a simple interest. So $1,000 times decimal 0.5 times 2. And if you work that with your calculator, you clear it. So I'm going to take $1,000 times it by decimal 0.5 times it by 2. And you note that you'll get $100. So this is calculating it with the simple interest. This is the simple interest, what we practiced earlier on in the last video. But up on the top is compound interest. So notice when you did the simple, you got 100. Notice when you did the compounding, you got 102.50. So what happens is that this is the $2.50 is the interest that you gain on your 50. So if you took the $50 and you took what percent? 5% of it, Just notice that's decimal 0.05. When you multiply that out, you get 250. So that's what we call, this is the difference between simple interest, the compound interest is the 250, but it's because you're doing the 5% on the $50 that you had already because you're doing interest on your interest. So that's the difference between compound interest and simple interest. You're compounding it. You're doing it many, many times when you compound. Let's do some more examples. Find the interest earned on each note. Notice we're finding just the interest on $6,000 at 4% yearly, compounded yearly for 2 years. So notice we're compounding it. This is not as simple. When you do not see the word compound, you're doing simple. But now we're doing compound. So we have interest is principal times rate times time. We have $6,000. The interest is 4%, and we're doing it for 1 year. So that's $6,000 times decimal 0.4 times 1. And we put our calculator here, and we clear it. We go $6,000 times decimal 0.4, and if you want, times it by 1, but it's not going to make any difference. You're going to get $240 interest. So that's the interest at the end of the first year. So if you take your $6,000 that you put in the bank and add on your $240 interest, you add that up, you get a 0.426. Now, beginning the second year, your interest is principal times rate times time. So now you have 6,240, 6,240 times your 4% times 1. So that's 6,240 times decimal 0.4 times 1. And again, let's use our calculator. Keeps it nice and neat. Don't have to worry. 6,240. We got the 0 there. 6,240 times decimal 0.4 and times it by 1. I'll do it, but not necessary. So now at the end of the second year, your interest is $249. So notice in the first year you had $240. Now you got $249.60. So the $9.60 is the interest, is the 4% interest on the $240. So your total interest you earned is $240. Add on 249.60. And when you add that up, the decimal is there, 2006984. So the interest is $489.60. Notice we're only asking you to find the interest. If you wanted to find the total amount of money, well, we'll do that down here. So if we go down here on the bottom and we want to calculate the money at the end of the year, then we have started off with $6,000 in the bank, and at the end of the second year we gained $489.60 because that was the interest. So the total would have been, as you can see, adding these up, you would have made in the bank at the end of the second year is your $6,000 plus your interest. So you had $6,489.60. Compounding it. Let's do number 2. This, you have $20,000 put in the bank, and your 3.5 annual interest, compounded annually. But this time we're going to do it 3 times. So we got to do what we have up here 3 times instead of 2. We got to do 3. Principal. Interest equals principal times rate times time. So that's $20,000 times 3.5% times 1. And we're going to calculate how much interest you're going to get in your first year. So $20,000 times decimal 0.35 times 1. So let me put that in the calculator, and we're going to have $20,000 times decimal 0.35 and times 1 I don't need, so I make, or not me, the money made $700 in interest. That means that if it made 700, so now you have $20,000 you put in, and it made $700 in interest. So 0.0702. That's not there. I made a mistake. So you got 20,700. So when you start off the second year, you have a new amount or a new principal, because that money's in the bank. So your interest equals principal times rate times time. So you have $20,700 times your 3.5% times 1. So it's 20,700 times 0.35 times 1. And we'll put that in the calculator. So we have, let's clear that, 20,700 times decimal 0.35 times 1, but again, we have $724.50. So we have $724.50. That's the interest that you made in the second year. So now we have the principal that we started off with in the second year. The amount of money we had in the bank was $20,700. So we'll now put $724.50 added on to that. So this is the principal at the beginning. This is the interest we got to add on. So that's 0.54. You didn't bring any decimal. 2. 7 and 7 is 14. Carry your 1, and we have a 2. So now we have $21,424.50. So we have to go again. Principal, rate, and time. Interest equals principal times rate times interest. Interest equals principal times rate times time. So now I have a $21,424.50 times 3%, 3.5% times 1. So that gives me 20,124. The only reason I'm writing this out is to change my percent to a decimal, which is decimal 0.35. So I worked that out on a calculator, and here we go. Clear it. So we get 21,424 decimal 50 times decimal 0.35, and I could times 1, and I get 49.85. So I get $7,449.80. Because that's a 7, which is greater than 5, I add 1 on to round it off to the nearest dollar, so I get $6. So $749.86. So now my total interest, the total interest that I earned, the money earned is 700 plus 724.50 plus 749.86. So when you add all that up, put zeros, I get a 6. 5 and 8 is 13. You got to carry your 1. 10, 14. You got to carry your 1. So that's a 6 and 1 is 7. And 3 7s are 21. So you made $2,174.36. So that's the interest that you earned, in 3 years when it's compounded. Now, how much money did you make on that? Well, remember we started off with $20,000 in the bank, and we made interest of $2,174.36. So the decimal is to the right of the zero. Let me put 2 more zeros on. Add that up and I get a 6, a 3, I get a 4, a 7, 1, 2, 2. So the money that you make is $22,174.36 when you put $20,000 in at 3.5 annual interest, compounded annually. And have a few practice problems. Now what you can do is work these out yourself and see if you get the right answer. When you get them done, press the play button and see if you're right. So now, which investment is worth more? And how much more? Notice in the first one we got 5,800. In the second one we got just 5,000. But the first one is 2.9%, but it's annual. This one is simple interest. You're not compounding it. So we still work it out. I equals PRT, and it's 5800 at 2.9% times 2, because this is not compounded, it's straight interest. This is what you call a simple interest. So we get 5,800 times decimal 0.29. Decimal moves 2 places to the left, times 2. So if we put this in our calculator, this clear our calculator, and we have 5800 times decimal 0.29 times 2, and we have $336.40. That's the interest made. If that was the interest made, then the amount of money that's in the bank is 5,800. Add on 336.40. So when you add that up, 0, 4, 6, 3, 1, sorry, yep, 8 and 3 is 11, carry 1, so I got $6,136 and bring down your decimal, 40 cents. So that's 5,800 at 2.9% for 2 years, but it's a simple interest. B over here is annually, but is being compounded. So that means I have to work it out twice like I did before. So I do interest is principal times rate times time. I have $5,000, or the account has $5,000 at 3.4%, and we'll work it out for the first year. So that's $5,000, and the interest is decimal 0.34% to a decimal, moves 2 places to the left, times 1. So I have 5,000, let's see, clear the calculator, 5,000 times decimal 0.34, and I get $170 in interest. So if you add that on, so you have 5,000, and if you add on your interest, then you get a 0.715. So that's 5,170. So if you take same formula, PRT, principal times rate times time, but you have to use your $5,170, and your interest is 3.4%, and you're doing it for 1 year. So notice the new, at the end of 1 year, you got your 5,000 plus your 170. So that's 5,170. So we work that out. We clear it. So it's 5,170 times decimal 0.35 and times it by 1, don't have to. We get $180. Oh, I multiplied by, notice, sorry, 5,000, oh, hold on, $5,170 times decimal 0.34. I had a 5 there. So I get $175.78. So I get interest of $175.78. So if you add that on to this amount, principal here, 5,170, plus the interest you gained that year, which is $175.78. Line up your decimals. You add that up, you get an 8, a 7, a 5, a 4, a 3. So you get $5,145. So notice that this is the investment you would want. So the difference, 6136.40 and 5345 decimal, and you subtract them, then you get the difference. So this is the better one. Give you way more money. This is not so much. Even though we started off with more here, but depends on the percents that you're working it through. Okay. So we subtract, we get a 2. That becomes a 3. It's a 10. Can't subtract, so that's a 5. That's a 13. 13 subtract 7 is 6. 5 subtract 5 is 0. Can't subtract, so that's a 0. 13 take away 4 is 9. Can't subtract, so that's a 5, and that's a 10. 10 subtract 3 is 7. So this one is the better one. It made $790.62 more. And you might look at that and say, yeah, I can see that this one's going to be that. But if you change the number to 6,000 here, which is close to this, would this one do it or have to eyeball it? But I worked it out. I worked the two of them out. I wanted to do the simple interest and the compound interest to show you the difference. Number 4, an employee of a company is offered a salary package for the next 2 years. The present salary is $80,000. The package is 4% annual, compounded annually. So that means the interest on a loan that's calculated and the money you make on investing in the bank, and the employer is your salary. When you get 4% for 1 year, that's added on, and then next year you got your salary plus your 4%, whatever that is, starting off the second year. And then if you had to do a third year, you would keep on going. So let's work this through. Let's get the interest. Now, this is similar to interest. We're getting the interest at your 4% on your money, but I call it interest, principal rate and time like in the bank, but the calculation is not, you're getting money now. So this is the money that you're making. So I just call it interest here. So I get $8,000 times 4% and for 1 year. So $80,000 times decimal 0.4 times 1. And when I work that out, I have, clear it, 8,000 times 0.04 times 1. So I'm getting a salary, even though I call it interest, you could call it a salary S instead of interest here. So you want to call that, instead of I, The formula is the same, but you can call it S for salary now. That's what you're getting. You're getting money. So right now, you would have $80,000 starting off. You get $3,200 more salary. So at the beginning, this is not calculated now. When you calculate it like this is done right at the beginning of the year. But in interest loans, you get it at the end because the bank is using your money. But you're working. You start off this year, the new year, with $83,200. So there's same calculation, but you do it at the beginning. So if you take your salary of $83,200 and multiply that by 4% times 1, so you get your salary is 83,200 times decimal 04 times 1, and that will give you, let's see, 83,000. Okay, here we go. I get 83,200 times decimal 04, and I get 3,328. So 3,328. So when you start off your next year's salary, second year, this is what you had starting off the first year. So when you add on the amount of money they're going to give you in your second year, so your second year is going to be an 8, 2, 5, 6, 8. So your second year salary is going to be $86,280. It's the same idea as the interest, but it's added on right at the beginning of the year because your company is giving you that money to help you divide it up through 12 months of the year to help you live. So notice, this is the salary starting off in the first year. This is the salary that you started off in the second year. That's compound. I call it compound interest, but it's related to the salary. I thought I might throw that in, not to confuse you. The calculation is the same, but the terminology in salary raises and terminology in investments. Think about it. In investments, you're getting it at the end. In salary, you're getting it at the beginning. And also note, compounding is done annually. Notice we compounded annually. That's only for the lower grades, 8s and 9s and 7s, etc. In the later grades, compounding will be done semi-annually, quarterly, monthly, etc. by a certain formula. And it's no good for me to go over that formula now because you won't get it in grade 7, 8, or 9. But you will get it when you're in probably grade 11 or 12. Hamlet, if I get a chance to do that video on the money compounding, good. I'll have some fun with it. If you like the video, click on the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell, or write a comment if you wish. You want to visit my website at www.mathfullyexplained.com, and on that website you'll find information about me in one section, about the videos, the teaching strategies you're going to use to help you learn, and you'll also find a section on the content, which will tell you the topics, the number of videos, etc. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.